Hi, Sonder family. Happy Friday, happy weekend, happy end of January, and a big happy welcome to February and your monthly setup. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your on screen facilitator tonight, but also for tomorrow's monthly setup. And Sunday's monthly setup. So I am so privileged to get to hang out with you all. And yeah, just wanted to give you that little heads up that I'll be doing. It is a Jennifer weekend, and y'all, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. So I think that's how come it fell that way because I'll be away for a bit. Malika and I were together last night. She led an amazing social on with some those alignment prompts. It was the last alignment prompt social. It hit perfectly because it's like we had this whole month to play around with what alignment looks like in our lives and then to put pen to paper. So if y'all were there last night, it was amazing. If you weren't there, no worries. It is on our private YouTube channel. Malika will put that link in the chat. But it was a lot of, she offered us lots of space for reflection, and the chat was beautiful and supportive as always. But it was just a really nice way to sort of say, okay, alignment, here we are, and here's how I'm going to move forward. So be sure to take a little time to yourself to watch that because it was good. So I got to be in the chat last night and visit with everybody, but tonight I'm on screen and Malika's in the chat. So if you have any questions along the way, she is going to be able to point you in the right direction. So just drop that in the chat and she'll be offering that support for you. Make sure your chat is set to everyone. That's how we'll communicate. And then, before I forget, I want to make sure we welcome anyone who may be checking out a monthly setup for the very first time. Say, give us a hello, say it's me, I'm a first timer, because this community wants to welcome you. We hold each other accountable at these appointments that we set with ourselves. And oh, awesome. Okay, we've got some new folks here, so that's great. So y'all who are here for the first time, welcome, welcome. If you come to these socials enough, you're going to have some beautiful virtual friends that you can call your own community because folks keep showing up for each other here, and it is just kind of magic. So we kind of help guide each other along. And when you set this appointment with yourself for a monthly setup, and then also those weekly setups, you're going to be able to get the most bang for your buck using this journal, the whole system. It really does keep you accountable, help you, guide you through goals, to-dos, habits, activities. And you can see everybody's so happy that you're joining us. And then the old, I always say we have the newbies, and I call the old bees, those the original, the old goats. You start coming to this, and you are the community that supports like no other community I've ever seen. And you'll just become one of those go-to people where we just take care of each other. We share where we need support, and we get ideas from each other, all that stuff. Yeah, old goat here, Carolyn. We're going to encourage you to share your setup either in our app, our Sonder Club app, or on Instagram and tag at Silk and Sonder. You never know when your content might show up virtually. And then, of course, we facilitators love to see how you've set it up because we're able to grab examples to share with the community. So yeah, welcome to February. Now I'm wearing red this evening because a day that is really important is coming up, and that is Friday, February 6th. That is Go Red Day. It is Um, Sponsored by the American Heart Association. And when I was still in the world of education, I had a conference I attended every year, and it was always the first Thursday and Friday of February. And on Friday, we would all wear red because we wanted to bring awareness to our health, our physical health. So, this is a reminder to you, my friends, to know the warning signs for women's heart health. We show up differently than men when things are going awry. And we want to make sure that you are aware of how to take care of yourself. And this is the perfect time to do so. So yeah, wear red, encourage your friends to wear red, and talk to those sisters around you about health and the things to notice about when things might feel a little out of whack, because again, heart attacks present differently for lots and lots of women. So I just always want to call that out when we are in February, because I want you all to protect those amazing hearts that you have. Speaking of community, here are the guidelines that we share every time we gather together. These are always presented at the top of the social hour. I know you can read, I won't go through them all, but just that reminder that we keep everything on the up and up in the chat. We respect privacy. We don't have bullying. This is a safe community, and we create safe spaces for ourselves and for each other. And then, of course, this is a setup, but like last night's social had a lot of feels to it. And so, if you are ever working on some stuff that just feels tricky, always take care of your emotional health and step back until you're in the headspace to work on it. No one's, we've always say there's no journal police. No one's going to watch what you do, how you do it, what it looks like. So, anyway, all righty. So, a new theme coming out of alignment and realizing the things that we believe, the things that we count on for ourselves after this month of alignment. And I know last night, Malika, when she was leading us through, lots of us were just like, we still aren't sure if we've gotten all this alignment stuff down. So we'll just keep working through that. And we're going to, kind of segue into this idea of how belief shows up in our lives. I always have loved this quote. It's attributed to Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And for me, that really, just sort of that's belief, right? It's really goes very deep when you start thinking about that quote. It's all up in here, all in our hearts. And when we believe we can, we can. So I'm gonna be excited about working on this theme this month. We like to start by just taking note, a few moments to acknowledge the letter from our founder, Meha. She always includes a letter at the front end of our journals, and I always say it's a love note to us, to the Sonder family. And some things that stuck out for me, this month, I've loved this. We're celebrating the quiet but powerful force of belief. And then she says, I encourage you to soften into your own becoming. Isn't that beautiful? Those words feel so eloquent. Soften into your own becoming. I think I might put those on a post-it note and stick it on my mirror to look at every single day when I'm preparing myself for the day. What would it look like to believe in your future even before you see the proof? And where might life surprise you if you let that belief lead? So take a few moments to read the letter and kind of get that understanding of why we're doing this thing this month, how Meha embraces it, and her dreams for us as we dig into that. So, Brenda, your 48th month with Silk and Sonder. That is amazing. Happy Sonderversary. You've almost got like this is edition number 101. So you're like right at that. You've had half of all the journals have crossed your life. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Our agenda tonight, we're going to do an opening activity. We've got that monthly acrostic poem, and I have been busy, busy today and just logged on to Sonder Club. There's a couple of examples that folks posted there. I should have looked long before the social. I could have included them in our examples tonight. I only have one example tonight from that's mine, but you can better believe you're going to post your acrostic poems tonight, and I'll be sharing them at the other monthly setups. We'll take a moment to reflect on January and to set those intentions for our brand new month of February and work on those mood and habit trackers. So, we always like to start with an opening activity at every social. Whenever you are, if you're brand new here, there's always going to be like a bonus activity. The weekly setups have a mind map that will grow from week to week. So those are the opening activities for the weekly setups. The monthly setups, we usually dig into an acrostic poem, and sometimes we actually have that page in our journal. Unfortunately, not this month. So you're going to be asked to find a space to write out your acrostic poem either on a blank notes page, or I've got some hints for you, some tips. I actually did mine on the little notes section in the front, in the first page of our journal. But just start thinking about 6 words or statements using BELIEF. And we're going to dive in to setting up our belief acrostic. Now, there are some synonyms for belief. Maybe you will find a word that fits a little bit better if you're not sure how to frame out belief. Perhaps confidence could be a word that you use instead, or trust. So there's some other suggested words. And while I'm talking through these, I will go back through all of these slides while you're working on your poem. We've got a couple of great examples here. Maya builds our basic slide decks. Maya, the facilitator that works with Malika and myself, and so she found a couple to share on our slide decks. And these are just lovely, building a bridge over doubt and fear, embracing the truths that we hold most dear. This one's good because it rhymes. Leaning on hope when the shadows grow long, inner conviction makes us stay strong, ever persistent through trial and test, finding the courage to give life our best. I'm going to show you mine in a minute. Oh, Marley's got a great question. Is belief similar to blind faith? I love that. So here is mine. And like I mentioned before, I put mine at the very front of my journal. It's when you go to that index page on page 1, there's that little notes section, and that's the section that I used to do my acrostic. And then I also wanted to offer some alternate activities. If you're like not feeling the acrostic tonight, maybe you'll get going by looking at putting some ideas in the form of haiku. And I've got the little cheater there for the syllables to write a haiku. You could write a letter or a little note just saying goodbye to January and hello to February, writing to kind of personify and write as if you were writing to friends, or maybe enemies. If January wasn't good, let January have it. You could just make a word cloud, kind of come up with those synonyms, those things that mean belief to you. Or you could work on your definition for belief, which you can find on page 3. What is belief to you? For me, I kind of brainstormed. It's the first thing that pops to my mind is faith, my faith. Core values informing my decisions, confidence in self, a positive mindset. truth and honor. Those are the things that kind of bubbled up for me when I thought about what belief means. You could also still do an acrostic, but you could do a February acrostic. Or here's an example of someone who had a birthday month and they did a birthday acrostic, just to kind of celebrate themselves and that very beautiful milestone. Maybe you use the word anniversary or your name or someone else's name. That could also kind of get you going. Like, who believes in you the most? Maybe you take that person's name and make that into acrostic. So lots of ways to frame this out. I'm going to put on some music and I'll go back through these slides that we've looked at back and forth while you're working on that. So, if you're just logging on, we are getting going with that opening activity of our acrostic poem and or alternate activities. Feel free to share. Some of you have already shared in the chat, but go ahead and if you're comfortable, feel free to share in the chat how you're opening up your new month. some some great acrostics in the chat. Thank you for sharing. And I would love to see your acrostics posted in Sonder Club when we're finished and inspired, which will inspire the rest of our community. And if you tried something different tonight, I'd love to see that. If you leaned into a haiku or you embraced a different acrostic to kind of get your head going with the idea of belief, like using someone's name who believes in you, or using your name. So yeah, share how you opened our evening together in Sonder Club. So let's dig into this beautiful brand new month. I know many of you have expressed you were ready to say goodbye to January. So it is time to go back and look at the good, the bad, the ugly of January and what it brought our way. We're going to stop for a moment and we're going to ponder what were our wins. And the win could just be that, hey, I made it through the month. We're also going to look at the challenges that life brought us and also celebrate those favorite moments. So you'll find this reflection page on page 8, and we do this every month. And then after you've spent some time with your wins and your challenges and those favorite moments, stop for a moment and take a really deep breath and drop down to that bottom section. And as you reflect on this time of standing at the threshold of February and getting to ready to walk in that door, think about what do you want to stop and start and continue into this new month. We've got some ways to start working on this page. If you have your January journal, you could go look at all those rosebud thorn reflections that you worked on from week to week. We always say grab your phone. What were your text messages? What did your calendar look like? Did you have work meetings? Look at your photos. What did you think was valid enough to stop and take a picture of? And where does that fit into a win or a challenge or maybe your favorite moment? As we're looking at the bottom section, that start, stop, and continue box, we're going to look at the things that maybe we need to start doing. Or I've seen lots of folks just kind of reframe it with restart. Like I'm going to go back to something that I used to do that I had started that I need to restart because it helps me align better with my life. We want to do all the things that will get us the best results, the best version of ourselves. And then, of course, we look at the things that we need to stop doing. What is no longer serving you? And then we are doing some things right. So what goes in that continue box that you can like pat yourself on the back over? I wanted to share some ideas for that bottom section because I feel like this section is it's almost like this foundation for the new month or a compass. If we really embrace the things that we write in these spaces, it can really inform the intentions we set, those goals, those habits, what you want your February to look like. I always think it's a great idea to maybe frame this out with asking yourself, what is it and why is this important to me? And then how am I going to get that done? So those three questions within these spaces, and we've got an example there so that you can see how someone is taking care of their start, stop, and continue boxes. It's also fun just to put the perfect stickers down that encompass those thoughts and feelings you have. And when you're looking at this space, it can also be really helpful to maybe focus and kind of get tunnel vision with it. So maybe if there is a relationship that really is causing some, not great feelings in your life right now, and that's something that needs to be worked on, maybe that bottom section of this page really becomes focused on just things about that relationship. Or perhaps it's something about your personal health and nutrition or movement. And so the whole space may be dedicated to how you're going to move your body. What are you going to start doing in terms of movement? What are you going to stop doing in terms of movement? And what are you going to continue doing? You might want to consider a core value and how that fits in to your start, stop, and continue. And then there's, a million other directions you could take it. It could be a decluttering challenge there, finances, education, health, wellness. Again, any relationship, a spouse, a child, a friend, a coworker, your job, you can really hone in using this space, which will then help you set up February the way you want it to be. Here's some other great examples of our start, stop, and continue box. You can list the things that you want to do. The one on the bottom is an older one of mine. Stop saying, y'all know, stop staying up late and wasting good rest time. I will forever be working on that. Continue to track my no late night snacking, which I am not doing now. So that's going to be something I will be restarting this month. And then again, another way, there's the what, why, and how questions, but the item you see on the bottom, the example there with that little graphic from Silk and Saunders Instagram, is you can repurpose this space and perhaps instead of doing a start, stop, and continue for your focus, you'll look at how you are feeling and what's causing it because. And what is that telling you you want or that you need to do? So that's sort of a neat repurpose for this section. So while we work on our January memories and get ready to step into February, I'll put on some music. Feel free to share in the chat the things that pop up for you or where you might need some support. And then we'll get on with the rest of our setup. my goodness. I really, really, really appreciate our opportunities to engage with each other through the chat. Um, Adrienne had an honest question and she was saying, alignment was just a failure for me this month. And she felt like she botched the month and it just didn't go so well. And she's wondering if belief, did she need belief or alignment to jump into belief? And I so appreciate you stopping for a moment and sharing that with everyone, Adrian, because we are on these journeys with seasons that are different, right? For each one of us. And some of us are in high places, and some of us are in the lowest of lows that we've ever experienced. And so sometimes the themes won't meet you in the right headspace for considering all that theme may be. You can always give yourself permission to go back and revisit alignment. Maybe in the spring or the summer when life looks a little bit different, it might be a better time to do that. And we never stop doing a theme. I always say once we've done it, we've done it. It's part of our DNA and who we have become. And I've shared with you many, many times. I grew up in a very, very much a scarcity mindset. And it was the theme of indulgence years ago that has now driven just my overall approach to life. Like, treat yourself. And it was through that one theme. So it doesn't ever go away and it can inform many, many months to come. So, we have to just respect where we are and what our journey is bringing us and then just wait until the time is right. It's the journal's not going anywhere, and you may be going, I'm feeling pretty good now in about 6 months, and I think I want to go look at those journal prompts again and just kind of consider how they might affect this version of myself. So we have all these journeys and roads that we take. So I just appreciate you sharing that, Adrian, because I know that you're not the only one who's feeling that way. Sometimes they don't hit just right. And then other times, wherever you are in your journey, you may get one that just like is a life changer for you because of the way things aligned. So always be patient with yourself. So again, just appreciate that call out, Adrian, and being authentic with your community. Let's take a look at page 9. Thinking about maybe what you're bringing into this month. Maybe if alignment didn't feel right, then we can look at these spaces on our intentions page with some lenses of, well, how could I get to alignment with that? So February's got lots of fun things. It's Valentine's month, it's President's Day. National Pizza Day, Groundhog Day. We're hoping that winter will end. Yeah, bird feeding month, just lots of really cool things. Black History Month, of course, I've already mentioned our Women's Heart Health Month. National Embroidery Month. Are you looking for a new hobby? Maybe that this is your sign. And of course, National Library Lovers Month. And I'm a big fan of libraries. And I read something the other day that said, everybody make sure you have a library card and then go check out books. And you don't even have to read them. You can turn them back in, but keep checking them out and sending that message that you think your library is valuable. So use it, even if you don't get those books read. Right, Chris is saying, but why wouldn't she read them? But explore your library. That is one of my neighbor spaces that I love, and they have magazines. And Carla, when I'm having too much couple time, I'll go grab a coffee and just flip through some magazines at the library and people watch. Anyway, so lots of great things this month. We'll go back to this page when you start working on your intentions because some of the stuff you're seeing could inform what your month is going to look like. Of course, you might want to frame this out with belief. when you're setting those intentions. Sometimes you'll find themes like the self-love or self-talk, or find a song or lyrics that speak to you. And of course, I've got lots of examples to show you while you work on your own page. Um, Keeping it simple by using a single word. If this space feels overwhelming to you, just come up with one word. So you can see the example on the upper left. Their physical health word is move. Just kind of that overriding idea of what they want to do. And then they can take that into their goals and their habits for the month. Also, the reminder you can see in that same example that instead of spiritual health, they've changed it to mental health. So we want you to take these intention spaces and make them work for your life. If a category doesn't jive with you right now, change it to something, or even leave it blank and use it as a check-in space as you reevaluate your intentions throughout the month. I wanted to point out the next one, over the upper one over to toward the right. This person really, if you look at this page closely, there's just three intentions there. So their intentions are mental health, physical health, financial health. And then they've used, just like the row, to fill in the ways they're going to address mental health, physical health, and financial health. So that reminder that you don't need to have six intentions. This person needed three, needed to jump into three, and really embrace those three. And Maggie, thank you. It probably was from last January. Listen, I'm telling you, I keep folders of these examples. If you are an artist or a doodler, do that to set your intentions, like the example you see down there. Or you could do a mini vision board or kind of scrapbook style, for that, like that example you see in the middle over there on the right. Of course, we always say stickers want to fulfill their destiny. That's what Maya says. Find some stickers that could maybe define your intentions. We also love the idea of duality. And so if you look at the bottom left and the one in the middle, those are two great examples of setting up your intention space to have more of something and less of something, or to do this and let go of this. So that kind of yin yang, you can see in there. Also, perhaps you could use a monthly theme or your word of the year to frame these out. The one on the upper right over there has radiate for all of these. So maybe your word is belief, or I believe, and then you complete your intention. And always writing them in the form of an affirmation can be extremely helpful to kind of set you on that course. Maybe you'll look up some quotes surrounding each one of these areas and plug a quote in, like the example you see on the left. Someone else made some cute little pocket envelopes for their page. Now, I always tell you, I am a black ink gal. I don't get real fancy. I do color, but that's about it. And then I want to make sure that we talk about this example on the upper right. So they have the one word for each one of their intention spaces, but they're going to be using their mood tracker, and we'll be doing our mood tracker in a little bit, but they're tying their mood tracker in, to their intention goals, so that they are making sure that they are checking in with those intentions on a daily basis. And so you can see how they have done, their key relationships. They want connection, and so that is something that's being tracked with that mustard color. sticker. So when we can track, for some of us, that's like gamifying our life, and it is so powerful. So wanted to share that with you. We will work on those trackers in a little bit. And then here's some fun examples. I love the hearts. This is a great way to set it up for Valentine's month, so that you can be your best Valentine. And some repurposed spaces. So the one on the left, instead of money management, has become house management. I often change that space up myself, to either house management or home and garden management, something about, my home. And then my professional goals are always learning goals. And so I make sure that I'm building in opportunities for TED Talks, for reading nonfiction books, for maybe watching some documentaries. So trying to keep the brain going. But anyway, so you can again, just that permission to change up for what you need at this given time. All righty. So I'm going to put on some music while you set up your intentions. I'm going to give you plenty of time. Be sure to share in the chat what you're doing. We want to know if you repurpose or retitle an intention. What intention? What is it? What are you doing? Instead of spiritual health, what do you do? Or instead of how money management, what are you doing in that space? What do you repurpose those topics with? And then how are you setting this up? Are you using one word? Are you going to go grab some quotes? Are you using this idea of duality? Share in the chat, because when you share, then that inspires other folks to you know for their page. You can give them some ideas. Alrighty, I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say. Okay, there was some great discussion about I didn't really change up much about my intentions from January to February. And I want to just call that out because that is so powerful. It's just like we don't want to have, 20 new habits every month. That consistency of going month to month to month and just tweaking along as you need to provides such a good foundation, such good compass points for setting yourself up for success this month. So that is just fabulous. And I wanted to call that out. So perfect. Yeah, I know, Kimberly L. It goes by so fast this time. So, yes, we are down to our last 15 minutes. Well, 17 minutes. We're going to take a look at those mood and habit trackers. And we'll start with the mood tracker. We have two different mood trackers depending on the number of days in the month. So I just always like to point that out in case there's somebody joining us for the very first time. I don't want you to get that mood tracker that's a circle and go, what happened to the mood tracker? So yeah, Team Hexa Circle. We're just all grateful to have a mood tracker. Now, this tracker this month is the hexagon. And, we like the trackers because when we can notice our moods, it helps us create shifts in our life when we can say, man, my Monday through Fridays are looking great, but at home I'm miserable, or vice versa. You can start really taking, or maybe when I eat these foods, I start feeling down and blue and I don't feel great. And so when you track those moods that we have, it can really bring to light this data and it helps us make some other types of decisions within our lives. So that's a beautiful reason to track your moods. Now, I also know many of you repurpose this tracker into another kind of tracker. So I have examples of both to share with you tonight. If you are brand new at tracking your moods via a tracker, we suggest using a couple of negative feelings, maybe a couple of very neutral feelings, and then a couple of very positive feelings. And I have some examples to show you. Deborah, sometimes I don't use the mood tracker myself. I use this tracker, but I repurpose it. I use it to track other things. So you can really lean into your emotions, or you can change it and use it for something else. So here is this feelings wheel that you can take a look at to get some ideas for your the moods that you might want to track. I'll come back to this so you can either grab a screenshot or, take a little bit longer look while you're working at it. And yeah, if you repurpose, drop in the chat. Chris is asking. We'll be sharing that as we go through. Rating the day is a really great way of using this tracker. Here are some great examples of taking those moods and tracking them. I do like this one. It's an oldie, and I usually share this, the one on the left. They've actually listed out like the different types of moods that fall under joy, that fall under love, that fall under fear, so that they are really trying to work hard at identifying how to rate those moods. So that could be something that you add to the negative space on your page. So here's mood trackers. This is kind of a fun one on the upper left, drawing a line through, a half, making a half point so that you've got equal spaces and you do a kind of a morning and evening look at your life. So I woke up feeling this way and I went to bed feeling this way. And then that's data that can then look back over your calendar, over your commitments, and see why you felt that way. Was it a negative feeling? Well, what happened on those days? So it's a nice way to kind of do that. And then you can also sort of lean into emotions and your energy level, like the one you see. I shared this one a lot because it's a really great way of looking at how you're feeling and then where your energy levels play into that. So this person is going to draw little flowers in for how they're feeling, if they're manic, balanced, or depressed. That you can see first 3 days they were balanced. And then they're also tracking their energy levels by outlining each one of these spaces with a certain color, and we can see their energy was medium. So that's kind of a neat thing. Also, I suggest highlighting your weekends or highlighting your work days, drawing around those days, because where you're spending your spaces can certainly impact your mood. And now let's look at the million ways we can repurpose this tracker. We've got Bailey, who is one of our co-facilitators. That's her anxiety tracker that she used. And we've got a calm tracker, a spending tracker. Here is a manifest happiness tracker. And they were just kind of making sure they were connecting with folks. They were being creative. They complimented somebody. They remembered smiling. They were doing something they enjoyed. So that's just a lovely way of how am I going to really focus on the happy moments in my life, which is really good if you're going through some tougher days, some darker days. If you can look for those glimmers every single day, it will help you train your brain to handle those tougher things in a more loving way. Here's a movement tracker, and notice tracking four things. So stair, climber, walk, dance, lift, calories, how to start the day in a good mood tracker. I always love this one. And they got the different color sticker for if they did one thing, they got the gray sticker. If they did, three things, they got the pinkish sticker. And then they're rating themselves. They're giving themselves that award by waking up by 5, doing an affirmation, drinking water, daily ritual, moving body, healthy breakfast. So basically, it is their morning routine, and they're going to reward themselves with those stickers. So anyway, there's that. A great place for symptoms. There is an example of my book tracker. I almost always use it for a book tracker, and I'm looking for my January tracker. Here we go. So this month, I've just been tracking when I've worked on projects, and I'm not really doing it day by day, but I was going to try to have 31 small projects because I'd like to do hobbies. And so you can see I'm almost there. I've got 2 days to get it, but it's been kind of fun to see the things that I've been working on. So that's I did Crafty Me tracker this month, and it was kind of fun to do that. Workout, activities, kindness. This is a new one, an aid tracker, and it was kind of decluttering and cleaning, how they set that up, kitchen, laundry, bedroom. And they've got some initials for the different things that they're going to do. The garbage, how many bags got taken to the dumpster? What a great feeling to know, like, I cleared out 30 bags of stuff this month. Maybe you need a business tracker for if you're a small business owner, and then some more healthy habits. Here's meditate, walk, yoga, and a wise lunch choice. So I love that. All right, so let's work on this tracker for a smidge, and then we'll finish up with that beautiful habit tracker wheel. I love that one. Share in the chat what's going on your tracker and how you use it. right. We've got lots of repurposing of this tracker. I love that. This is a really good tracker to make copies of. I should have mentioned that before you started writing in them. But if you need like extra trackers within your month, I always suggest just making a couple of extra copies on on your printer. Just put it down, scan it in, and you can have these extra copies for the different things that you want to track if tracking is something that really works well for you. I always say I like to gamify my life. I'm so much more efficient when I set timers, when I have trackers or bingos to fill in. And so that could be a tip for you. Use as many trackers as you need to get it done, to get your life where you want it to be. Now we're going to turn to that habit tracker wheel. I think this one looks so pretty. Mine is always a sloppy mess, and halfway through the month, I have been known to look at my tracker and go, you know what? I'm not doing this habit. I'm going to change this habit up in the middle of a month. And so then I'll just write and scratch and scribble and use whiteout. So, always give yourself permission to do that. Again, these trackers are data. They're neutral. It's a piece of paper giving you a picture of your day. We love this tracker. These are the things that we want to do most days, and never underestimate the power of the smallest actions you take. And here's a little graphic that can show you how they can build those small habits from your life. So we always say kind of start small, keep them doable. And then as you add new things, you can always pair those new things up with those things that you're already doing. We have the weekly habit and activity tracker. I've got a picture of it there for our newbies. Those trackers can have the same information on them as this habit tracker wheel, but you can also change those habit and activity trackers up from week to week to week. Whereas this habit tracker, we tend to do all the same things throughout the month. Lots of ways to fill this out. We'll take a look at some examples. We always share these. We think they're so lovely. Again, black pen check marks. That's what I do, but you could turn this into a mandala. You can see how the one on the right has the weekends highlighted. So again, maybe you do that so you can give yourself permission to take the weekend off from these particular habits. Maybe, this person isn't going to weigh in on the weekend, or maybe they are, but the weekends just can show, they may look different, and that's a way for you to remind yourself if the spaces are blank. I believe this one was Kimberly's, and she was really embracing 3 habits for the month. And when you take a good look at this, it's healthy movement, daily meds, and healthy eating. And so she's kind of got her key written there. So it was a busy page, but it worked for her. And that's why I wanted to include it, Kimberly. And thank you for sharing in Sonder Club. So you may want to grab a screenshot of that and study how she set that space up for her, to make sure that she was focusing on those 3 things. We've got another one here. I love the alcohol free. Um, I love in the little middle there, a better me. And then we have some other trackers here. People are writing on the outside the things that are going on in their life to remind themselves that days could look different. That's a very good way of putting your habit tracker together. And then the habit tracker you see kind of in the middle there toward the left, you can see each week has been color coded and colored in, and then they'll go check through that. A reminder, you don't have to fill out every line here, and you can miss. It's okay if you miss. We just say, oops, try again tomorrow. And then we've got some completed trackers so that you could take a look at that. as well as the reminders that if you miss, it is okay. Coverall isn't the way to win. If you're looking at your January tracker and it's kind of empty on some things, that wasn't the right habit for you to tackle. And that's the data you get. I'm going to put on a blip of music. I'll go back through these habit tracker slides one more time, and then we'll finish up with our announcements. And I have a fun thing to share with you. So hang out if you can. A reminder that this social has been recorded. So you'll be able to access it probably in just a little while if you wanted to go back and look at any of the slides that caught your eye. And I'll be doing a couple more of these monthly setups this weekend. So you can come back for more. I know I had fun with this playlist, and yes, there's a lot of 90s stuff on it. I guess we were believing in the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure, but there's my Spotify playlist. Monica's going to drop some links in the chat that you'll find helpful. Please share your pages, your acrostic poem, and any of your trackers or your intentions. We'd love to see those in Sonder Club, and they do inspire one another, but they also help form that connection that we have with each other. And then a quick fun announcement. Want to be sure that I draw your attention to a very special event that's happening on February 18th. It is the Silk and Sonder Birthday Bash. And so we will get those links dropped in the chat, but it is also up on the Eventbrite site. So we'd love to see you there for that. And then if you're not on Spotify, you could grab a screenshot. Here are the songs that we listened to tonight. And yeah, I'll be back. Let's see, I think I have a monthly set up tomorrow morning and then Sunday evening. So I'll be back then and we'll just have a great weekend together, Sonder family.